gracious.
Yeah. Well, we learn when we're young sticks with us. Yeah. So, good morning. We're learning at Chutz for Shleima Filan Chabasarach and for Atziyam Bas Chaya. We're on Daf Sadi Amid Beis, whereby the two dots, about 12, 13 lines on the bottom. B'yerech shel min or b'yerech shel shmal. Our Mishnah says that the Gid Hanasha applies to both hind legs of the animal, both the right and the left one. The Gid Hanasha is part of that what the Torah asks is the Gid Hanasha on each side. Zaktamar, Sisim Leira Kreb Yehuda. This is not like Yehuda. Tanya Yehuda Ein Noig Elab Achas. Yehuda says that the Gid Hanasha is only Noig on one of the legs. Vadas Machras as Shal Yimid. And the reason would tell us that it's going to be the right one. What does that mean? Does it mean that there's a pasuk that teaches us, a drasha that tells you it's the right leg? Or is it just he's mesupik and he says normally the one that whenever the Torah talks about a leg, it's the right leg. But it's not a final decision. It's just he uses lashon das machras. He means to say it's not certain. Tashma. Let's try to bring a raya. Hatzamas v'agidim v'anoiser. Yisrafu l'shisha asa. The carbon Pesach is brought on the 14th day, right, on Erev Pesach, and then it's eaten at night of the 15th, the first day of Pesach. If you have any nicer, the dinner is the dinner nicer of the Pesach. After that, that day has to be burnt. You can't. It really has to be burnt that following day. But you can't burn it on Pesach by day because it's Yom Tov. So you wait till the 16th, even though for us that's the second day of Yom Tov. But B'deraisa, it's only supposed to be one day of Yom Tov. So the atzamis, which are the bones, and the gidin and the sinews, and the noisa, the leftover meat, yisrfu l'shisha. So the din of burning the leftover carbon pesach, you first do it on the 16th day. Vavinamba, you asks, hani gidi maya v'ditayu. What kind of sinews are we saying that you burn on the 16th day? Igidi basar. If it's sinews that are edible, lichlenu, let him eat them. So Zakdamara, that means that then why did he should have eaten them together with the rest of the Pesach? Why are we saying that you wait with them we're saying it's not talking about nicer, it's saying that these things get lechatchila burnt on the 16th. Vida yater, and if it's something that's left over, meaning that it's basar that he didn't eat on the 15th as he was supposed to, hainu nicer, it's not any different than nicer, it's just like the rest of the basar. Elegidit sabra, elamai, you're talking about the sinews of the neck, which are very hard and inedible. Ilav basar ninu, lishninu. If they're not basar, then there's no need to burn them. The din of nicer is only on edible parts of the animal. We're talking about Rabbi Yehuda, and he says the Gid Hanosh is only noyeg on one of the two sides, either the right or the left. So if you say it's a suffix, which one it is, so then the Gid Hanosha, every year, you're going to separate the Gid Hanosha. You can't eat it of both sides because you don't know which one is really the one that's Aser. So you have to separate.
Why, according to Rav Chizda, why is it only like Rabbi Yehuda? You know, if you hold it like our
Because
Mishnah,
according to the other manam, both sides are Aser. So then you could throw it in the garbage. You don't have to put it. If it's Aser l'chatchila, then there's no need to burn it.
uh,
Right? If
yeah.
then they're not edible. So Gemara, so this makes sense. The eighth of how you're going to do it is where it's something that could be eating, um, where it could be eaten, but midirabanan out of Suffolk we have to not eat it. Eliyam Mishet Pshitale the Hetera Lichle the Surah Lashtaya. Let us eat the side that we know, the right side that is um I'm sorry, the right side that is also you'll throw away, and the left side that's mutter you could eat. You should eat it on the 15th. And or if not, and if you don't eat it, then it's again nicer. So you have the same. So Amar Avika Bar Chanina Loila Memelach Mifshe Pshitale. No, it's not necessary. This is not a raya. Trying to bring a raya that Rav Yehuda holds that it's a suffix. No, it could be that he holds that 100% the right side is the Giran Asher that's us. We're talking about that on Pesach they shechted the animal and they removed the giddin and they put them on the side and now they look at them, they don't know which is the right one, which is the left one. So now it's again asam misafik, even though the din is that we know that the right one is certainly the giran asher. Rashi says another way you could answer it. It's talking when it says the gid, it's not talking about the gid hanasha itself. It's referring to the fat that's next to the gid hanasha. The Tanya, shamnei mutter v'yisrael kedoshim nagu b'isur. Even though the fat next to the gid hanasha is really mutter, but the yidden, in order to avoid coming to eat the gid hanasha itself, were noig isur on it. So since it's something that midaraisa you really should eat, it's subject to the din of nicer, but it's not, you can't actually eat it. So therefore they put it aside and they burn it on the 16th. He gives a third teretz. When we say the Giddim and the Atzamis and the Noiser are burnt on the 16th, Shnei Gidin Hein, Pnini Samach La'etzem Aser, V'chayv and Alav, Kitzat Samach La'basar, Aser V'ein Chayv and Alav. There are two Giddim, and the one that is on the inside, the inner side of the thigh, is the one that's Aser Midaraisa as a Gid HaNasha, but there's a second Gid that even though it's not the Gid HaNasha, because in order to avoid mixing it up, Midravana, they said it's Asa. So that's the one that you cannot eat on Pesach, and therefore you have to burn it the following day. I guess it would probably be interesting some other day to look at why these things we're saying that a derabanan is precluding a deraisa, right? It's going to be because it's going to be a sheval taisa, like we said with the shofar. Shofar on Shabbos, you don't blow it, even though it's a deraisa, midarabanan they ask it. So Chum can ask something, even that's midaraisa, as long as it's a sheval taisa, as long as you're just sitting and not doing. Toshma. Achel mizek kazayis umizek kazayis. Seifik shmeina. If one ate, Rashi says, from the right side and the left, the right gid hanasha and the left gid hanasha, you get 80 malchus because you ate two separate gid hanashas. Each one amounts to, each one gets malchus. You only get 40. So if you say that we know which one it is, that the right one is according to Rabbi Yehuda, the only one, so you chayav 40. You get the malchus for the right gid hanash and the left one. You're part from. He can never give a proper hasra for either one. We don't know which one is the one that he's chayav on. We know this. We had this a couple of blot ago. The Yehud is the man who says asra safik is not a valid asra. The Tanya, he gets evachazer, he gets that. Kila is evachazer, kila is that. If someone has a suffix of whether someone is his father, and he had two people that one of them might be his father, and he's not sure which one, but he knows one of them is the right one. If he hits one and then he goes and hits the other one, or he's makal one and then he's makal the other one, he can shneim b'vasachas. Or if he hits both of them at the same time, he should kill shneim b'vasachas. Chayiv. He's chayiv. The man the Tanakama holds Hashar Safik is Shema Asra. So it doesn't make a difference whether he did them both at the same time or if he did them one after the other. Potter. Yehuda says no, you only chayiv at one time because then it's not Hasra Safik. You gave Hasra and then he hit both of them, so he certainly was chayiv. But if he does one after the other, because it's a Hasra Safik. So you see, Reb Yehuda is the man the Amar who says Hasra Safik is Loishma Asra. So if you say Svukim Misafkale, how could you be B'chayiv for how could you be B'chayiv for either one of the two of Gid HaNoshas when he ate both the right and the left? Each one is Asra Safik. And the Gemara, like we said on the previous block, Haitana Savel Kidich Tan de Rabbi Yehuda. We have a different version of Rabbi Yehuda who holds Hasra Safik Shma Asra. The Amar Hasra Safik Shma Asra. The Tanya. Leisasiru Menu Ad Baika. You can't leave over Noisa. Ba'akasav Litin Essay Acha Loisase. The Torah is coming to give an essay to be Menatek the Lav. The Torah says you shouldn't be Meiser, but if you do, Be'esh Yisref, you should burn it. That's an essay to fix the Lav. Lamish ain't like it a love. Different Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says that tells you that's how you know you don't get malchus for noiser because the Torah was monatic to an essay. But the problem is, how could you ever have a hasra on noiser? As the day goes on, the person can always say, I'll eat it later, I'll eat it later, and you can never get the exact moment that there's only enough time left to eat the noiser. So any hasra on noiser is practically speaking, always going to be Hasra Safik. So you see, from here you see Rabbi Yehuda holds Hasra Safik is Shema Hasra. For the fact that he has to say the reason you don't get Malchus on Nicer is because it's a lavanitic lesson. Rabbi Yaakov
No,
Omer,
but isn't this any Hasra? He wants someone not to hit his father. So maybe he's not going to hit his father. It's still a Safik.
no, well, the Hasra has to be the Vade has to be that you know that if you do it, you're going to get Malchus. You can't say, if you do something, I'm not sure, maybe you'll get Malchus. It has to be, if you do this act, then you'll get Malchus. It's not, the subject is not on what the person is going to do. The question, if it's a surah of whether he's right, that if he does the action, that it's going to be, what the consequences are going to be. Right? The Hasra
But
subject has
here,
to be I'm sorry?
okay, so you're saying, but by Noiser, because he does nothing, because it's Shaval Tasa.
Well, it's not just Sheval Tasa. The person he doesn't know the person, you're saying if you do it now, but the person could say, I'm not going to do it. You don't know that the person's doing it. I hear what you're saying. You're saying this is really a question of whether the person's going to do it. Um,
Right. Is he going to pass the time or not? Is he going to hit or not? From that
um,
standpoint.
yeah. We had this earlier. Let me look back at that tomorrow. It's a good question. Yeah. It has to be that you something you're about to do right now. You can't give hasra. That means you always have a suffix whether the person's going to do it or not. But when you give hasra, you say if you do this thing right now, you're going to be chayiv. But you can't give a hasra if you say don't leave this over. At any time, it's going to for sure be later that he's going to be over, right? He's not giving the hasra for now. He's giving the hasra for later when the time runs out. So there has to be an immediacy. It has to be right at that time that he's going to be over. Right? You can't say if you do this thing tomorrow, then you're going to be chayiv because by that time maybe he forgot. He could say I'm a shaygig. I didn't remember. So that's always you're always going to have that element that I don't know why. I guess I'm not sure why it's termed a hasra suffix. It really should be termed a non-immediate hasra.
But it could be, you're, 10 seconds before the Shkia. You're making Hasra. I mean, that's
So right,
now or
so
never. Yeah.
that they say that it's EF Shalatzamsim. There's no way to get it exactly to get the time precisely right. You don't know exactly when that moment is going to be, and therefore it will be it'll always be a hasra suffix. You're asking. You're asking is things that the Achrayim talk about, but The only thing a person could say if you don't eat it right now, then if you don't eat right now, then it could eventually become a hasra. You can't make a hasra for later. So the hasra has to be for right now. And the hasra that you're making right now is a suffix because you don't know what's going to happen later. You don't know if he's going to eat later. So that's the svara here.
Hmm.
So that is the raya. So still in middle. So Rabbi Yaakov Omer, and this is just the end of that brisa of the chaylik on Rabbi Yehuda. Yaakov Omer Hashem uzeh. Hashem do have a lav she'ein b'maisa, v'chol lav she'ein b'maisa ein loikalav. He says it's not because of lav anitikal essay that you don't get malchus on Isa, because there's no action. Any lav which doesn't have a maisa, you don't get malchus. Toshma, who's still trying to answer this question of whether Rabbi Yehuda's din that you get malchus for eating the right git hanosha is a absolute deraisa decision, or is it only a suffix? Toshma. If someone ate two sinus, meaning this git hanosha, from two different thighs, from two different behemoths, sefig pay, he gets two sets of malchus, one for each git hanosha. Yehuda ain't a sefig alaboy. The Yehuda says he only gets one set of malchus. So for the fact that we said two urechas from two behemoths. Obviously, we're not talking about where he said we did two urechas, one from the left and one from the right. Why would it have to be from two behemoths? The whole point of two behemoths, they both are from the same side, or from both are capable of being asa. But Yehuda Itztrich, and nevertheless, Yehuda says, we still have to say that you're only going to be mechayiv one. So Shema Mina Mifshib Shitale. Why would you have even one malchus, right? If he holds that it's a suffix, you don't get any malchus. Shema, the only way you could get malchus, theoretically, is if you do both from the same animal at the same time. Shema Mina Mifshib Shitale Shema Mina. The Gemara asked the obvious question. So if you said that it has to be talking about a case from two different animals, the right side, and if it would be a suffix, you wouldn't get even the 40. But why does the Taki get for each one a different malchus? We're talking about where the two of them together add up a kazayis. The Tanya, achlu ve'emba kazayis chayiv. The Tanakama says, if you eat an entire gid hanosha, even if it's less than a kazayis, it's a barrier, it's a full thing, and you get malchus. Rabbi Yehuda says it has to have a kazayis on its own. So he's saying, we're talking about a case where each one was a 3/4 of a kazayis, so when he eats the two together, it adds up to a kazayis, he's going to be chayiv one, and the chachamim, who disagree with Yehuda, will say he's chayiv two. The time of Mad. Now the Gemara says, finally, now that we went through the whole Gemara about whether Rabbi Yehuda says it's a suffix or a vadai, what is the reason that it has to be, that it actually is, like we came to the conclusion, a vadai, that the right leg is the one that's gid hanosh. Amar Ava Amar Kra, Hayerach Hamim Hayerach. The Torah says, Alkin Loyechem Yisrael is gid hanosh ashal kaf hayorech, on the thigh. Hamiyamunis shabiyerech. It means the right one, the chosen one of the thighs, which is always the right. The right is the more chosen one. For Abaran, Huda Pashdi Surah Bekule Yerech. Lafuga Chitz in the loy. It's talking about hayerech, meaning the gid that's in the yerech, that it goes throughout the entire yerech. Where we said, like we said before, there's a outer, a chitzin, and a pnimi gid. So the one that's on the inside is the one that spreads throughout the leg, while the one on the outside does not spread through the leg. So when it says hayerech, it means it goes through the entire leg to indicate the inside gid, but nothing about right or left. When another we're going to give a lot of pshatim to show that it means the right leg. When the Torah talks about the Gid HaNasha, it's when Yaakov was wrestling with the Malach. It says when he wrestled with him, like a person who hugs, chibuk is hugging. So it's like someone who hugs his friend. His right hand crosses over and reaches the right thigh. It goes around the person's body and touches the right thigh of the person he's hugging. Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar Ka'ovid Kechavim Nidmalai. He saw this malach, he thought he was a guy. Damar Ma Yisrael Shenitva Loi Ovid Kechavim Mederach. When a person is going with a guy, Toiflei Liyaminai. You always keep the Ovid Kechavim on your right side. And you walk next to him, that way his left is on your right, and you have your strong right hand to protect yourself from the danger. So therefore, when Yaakov was Hayavak Imai, the Malach's arm, his hand, was on Yaakov's right thigh. Rav Shmuel bar Acha Kamei der Pap, Rav Shmuel Acha Kamei der Pap Shmei der Rav Barula Amar Ketamid Chacham did belay. No, the Malach didn't look to him like a guy. He looked to him like a Talmud Chacham, the Amar, and therefore Hamahalach Liyamin Rabbi Harei Zebur. Someone who goes on the right side of his Rabbi, there's like a bur, so he has to go on the left side of his Rabbi. And therefore, he looked at this guy as a Talmud Chacham. So by going on his left side, then the Malach, when he reached out, hit the right side of Yaakov was right next to the left side of the Malach. Rabbanon Ma'achareh also. According to the Chachamim, the Malach was behind Yaakov, V'nashi b'travayu, and he grabbed both sides of Yaakov and he caused both Gid HaNashas to pop out. Rabbanon Hai Be'avka Imai Mai Darshi. We all were darshaning different pshatim in Rabbi Yehuda about how it means the right side. What does he darshan from Behavkai? He needs it for a different drasha of Yeshua and Levi than Yeshua. And Levi Mlamed Shehelu Avak Medlei Mat Kisei HaKavod. The Avak, it's a reference to the dust that went up from their fighting that will reach the Kisei HaKavod. Ksiv Hacha Be'avki Ksiv Hasam V'adan Avak Raglav. The clouds are like the dust under the feet of the Rebbeinu Shalom. So Be'avka is a reference to the feet of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Yeshua and Levi. Laba Nikru Shmoi Gid HaNasha. Why is it called a Gid HaNasha? Because it got up and left its place. The Gid popped out. Their strength left them, and they became like women. You see, the Lashon Nasa is to leave. Amar Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina, Mai Dechsiv, Davar Shalach b'Yaakov v'Nafal v'Yisrael. Something was sent by Yaakov and it came on Yisrael. Davar Shalach b'Yaakov zeh Gid HaNasha v'Nafal Yisrael shepat Yisrael b'chol Yisrael. It's talking about the Gid HaNasha that it happened. The Ma'aser happened to Yaakov, and the Eser Gid HaNasha applies to all Yidden. Amar Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina, Mai Dechsiv v'Tavuach Tavach v'Hachein. It says, I keep on forgetting where this is. Where's the pasuk? Oh yes, by Yosef. Yeah, Yosef Itam ben Yamin, that he instructed his people to shecht an animal and prepare it. Parlahem beis hashchita. He opened for them the beis hashchita to show them that they did a proper shchita of a hachin. Tel Gid HaNasha b'fnein. He told them to prepare it by removing the Gid HaNasha in front of the Shvatim. Commander Amar Gid HaNasha Nas L'Bnei Noach. This is like the Commander Amar who says that the Gid HaNasha was also to Yidden, to the Bnei Avram Yitzchak Yaakov before Matan Torah. Vayivasa Yaakov levadei. The pasuk says Yaakov was left alone. Amar B'Elazar Shnishtayer al Pachim Ktanim, because he was left with small. This is about Yaakov that he went back to pick up the small kalim. Because Yosef Migufim, Yaakov risked his life by going back in the middle of the night to get these Pachim Ketanim by himself. But Kolkach Lama, why are they so careful about small things? They want to make sure that they have what they need, because a person who doesn't have what they need, if they're not careful, if they're not frugal, they're left without sufficient money, and then they have a Yetzirah for Gezel. Pasuk continues, Vayavik Ishimay Adaloi Sashocha. The Malach fought with Yaakov until the morning. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Mikala Tamid Chacham Shlo Yotzi Yechidi Balayla. You see, Adaloi Sashocha, the risk, the danger was only until the morning. But once the morning comes, then the chance for bad things to happen stops. So that's why a Talmid Chacham should not go out alone at night. Rav Abba Bakana Amar Vehacha. Hine hu zeireya as goyrin hasa'orim. It says about Bayez, says that he was zeireya the sa'orim at night. He stayed out by the fields. He didn't walk home. Rashi says that he wouldn't walk home at night. He had to wait for the morning to go back because it wasn't safe as a Talmid Chacham to go at night. Avram waited for the morning. He was in a big rush to go, but he still waited for the morning because Talmid Chacham does not travel at night. What was the rest of the pasuk? He says, Lech no re'ei, he told Yosef to go check, but he said only to go when he could see, which is by day. Excuse me, it says about Yaakov that says that the sun rose for him on Yaakov as he was after this Maisa with the Malach. That means that's when he traveled. So I asked them when we were in the butcher house in Imus, they were going to get an animal for the celebration of the marriage of the son of Gamliel. It says that the sun rose for him. Why does it say the shemesh rose for him? It was rising for the whole world. It's coming to tell you that the shemesh that had set for Yaakov, as we're going to see in a minute, just for Yaakov, when he had the Maisa with the ladder going up to Shemayim, it also rose for him alone. It made up that time that it had come early, that it had set early by rising for him as well. It says Yaakov left Beersheba and he went to Charana, which is outside of Eretz Yisrael. And he came to the place, meaning to Yerushalayim, which is in Eretz Yisrael. So when he got to, how do you understand that he got to the place if he already was in Charan? It says by Charana. So that Gemara ki mata l'char, when he reached Charan, he said, how could I have passed by the place that Avraham Avinu was brought to Yitzchak as an Akedah, and I didn't daven there? Kadyav died till the when he decided to go back, ara, he had kvisas aderech, miyad vayifka b'makom. That's when he arrived at the makom at Har Miriam. Kad tzali, then Kad tzali boile meheder. So he went there to daven, and he wanted after he finished davening, he wanted to go back to Charan. How could he leave without sleeping over? So that's where the sun set early after the tefillah of Yaakov to make sure he didn't leave to go back to Charan. The Gemara asks another question. It says he took from the stones and he took one stone. That all the Avanim came to that one place. V'chol achas v'achas emeres alai yaniach tzadik es roisha. Each one wanted to have that Yaakov should rest his head on them. Tana v'kula nivlu ba'echad. They all got absorbed into one stone that he was able to rest his head on. V'yachla and v'hine sulam mutzav arza. He dreamt, and there was a ladder resting on the ground. Tana kama rachve shel shulam. What was the width of this ladder? Shmeinas alpayim parsois. It was 2,000 parsois, which was many thousands of miles. Says the malachim of the Rebbe Shalom going up and coming down. Oilim shnayim v'yardim shnayim. It was malachi. It was the lashon rabbim. So it was two going up and two going down. They would pass each other. Havlu arba. So it was four malachim side by side. Uksiv be b'malach v'gavisi ketarshish. It says about a malach that its size is the same size as the ocean of Tarshish. So Gemiri, the Tarshish Trey Alfi Parsi. And we learned that ocean is 2,000 parsois wide. So therefore, the ladder has to be 8,000 parsois in order to accommodate both of the malachim. They would go up, the malachim went up, and they saw Yaakov's face as part of there were four different faces of animals on the Merkava, and Yaakov was one of those faces. They saw Yaakov's face on top. They saw him on bottom on earth. Bo l'sakune, the malachim got jealous of him, and that would have caused Yaakov to die. That's why the pasuk says that the Bershom was standing over him to protect him. And if we didn't have a pasuk like this, one can never say such a thing. But the Bershom was protecting him, was shielding Yaakov like a person that shields his son. And how could you ever have such a thing? The Bershom interposes himself between a danger and a mortal being. The pasuk continues. Says the land that you are lying on. My Ravuse, what is that coming to tell you? The Bershom folded over whole Eretz Yisrael underneath him, so that when he dies, so that it will be, when they come to conquer, it'll be as small as the size of what a person sleeps on. But the Malach told Yaakov, send me away because you have to let me go because the sun has risen. Yaakov said, are you a ganaf, a thief, or kuvyustus, which Rashi says is someone a kidnapper, that you're scared to be seen in the light? I'm a malach, and I never had today is my turn to say shira. And if I don't go right away, I'm going to miss my chance. There are three groups of Malachei Asharis that say Shira every day. Achas Omer Kaddish, V'achas Omer is Kaddish, V'achas Omer is Kaddish, Hashem Tzavakos. One says Kaddish, Kaddish, and the third one says Kaddish, Hashem Tzavakos. So that is and each one, that's their chance, and then they say that, and then they're done. Meisvei, Chaviv in Yisrael of Ne'akash Baruch Hu Yosem Malachei Asharis. If Gemara asks that, we know that the Yidden are more chavav by a Kadosh Baruch Hu from Malachei Asharis. So Yisrael Amim Shir B'chol Shah. You didn't say Shira for the Baruch Shalom. They daven all the time. Malachei Asharis say Amim Shir Ele Pamachas B'Yoyim. They only say one time by day. V'Amil Pamachas B'Shabbos. One time in a week. V'Amil Pamachas B'Chodesh. Once in a month. V'Amil Pamachas B'Shana. Once a year. V'Amil Pamachas B'Shvua. Once every Shemitah, every 7 years. V'Amil Pamachas B'Yom. Once every 50 years. V'Amil Pamachas B'Olam. And some people say that the Malachim only say one time in their whole existence. So, which is like the Gemara that we had just said before, that each Malach only has one chance. The Yisrael Maskirnas Shem Achash Tevis. The Yidden say the Rebbe Shalom's name after two words of praise, Shenema Shema Yisrael, which are talking about before those up the preface, and then it says Hashem, which is the third word. Malach Asher say Maskirnas Hashem Elacha Gimel Tevis. Kaddish, 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 Hashem Tzavakos. They have to say three words before it. but in the way we just described it, the last one was the one who said Kaddish Hashem Tzavakos. So how does it come out? So that's only 2 words, not 3. The Ein Malachi Asharis Oimrim Shira Lamaila, Achiyama Shira Lamata. Another mile of the Yidden is that the Malachi Asharis have to wait for the Shenema Baron Yachad Koichvei Voika. When the Koichvei Barker is a reference to the Yid, so that it says when the Yidden sing together, then V'hada v'yiro kol bnei halikim. That's when the bnei halikim, the malachim, are able to daven. So, but in any case, back to our question, we had said Hashem Tzavakos, Kaddish Hashem Tzavakos, which is only 1 word, not 2. Ela achas amr Kaddish v'achas amr Kaddish v'achas amr Kaddish Hashem Tzavakos. So we change it. It's not that the last one said Kaddish Hashem Tzavakos, but each one added on to what the early one said. So we said 3 words before. Baruch. What about Baruch Kvoid Hashem, which is the next words, where they just say Baruch Kvoid Hashem, which is 2 words like the Yidden. So tomorrow Ifanim Hu Da'amrilei. This is the Ifanim, not the Malachim. The Ifanim and the Chayes HaKodesh are part of the Kisei HaKavod. They're a different status than the Stam Malach. Kivin this Yav Rishusa, Kivin this Yav Rishusa is Yav. But the point is, it doesn't make a difference whether it had to be that specific Malach that said Kaddish Shem Tzavakos, since the others one said Kaddish. It's the same thing as the Yidden that say Shema Yisrael, so it's considered as 3, not 2. Okay, I think we'll stop over here, and we'll continue Bez Hashem tomorrow.